Hey, Caitlin.
Welcome back.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if Zach will edit that out, but I just started the whole episode with a giant sigh. It may not have come across on mic, but hey, how are you?
That's how I am. We're stimulating our vagus nerves.
We
Here's
are.
your mental health tip for the day.
Bre-
A sigh actually decreases stress because it stimulates your vagus nerve, which is like part of your nervous system, but it's like
Yeah.
traces back to caveman days. That like when you
Wow.
breathe heavily or sigh, it like releases the fight or flight like
I just
tension.
know.
That's
Yep.
what the deep breath is for. Anyway,
I didn't
fun
realize that.
facts.
So you
Yeah.
should sigh before you run away from that bear, or you just run like
It's
and
like
get out of the way.
afterwards.
Oh,
So it's like you
afterwards.
run away from the
Oh,
bear,
got it,
and
got it,
then you
got it.
have all of the like when you have all of that like whoa energy. That
Okay. Yeah, I just know that my sweary
like
coloring book calls it breathe out the bullshit. So I think
oh
that's a
yeah
same thing, right? Same thing.
yeah
It's healthy.
yeah. There's
Ugh.
also research around like why our stress levels are so high, and it's partially because we don't spend any time running away from predators.
Oh yeah, because you don't get that energy out. It's kind of like with
You don't, yeah,
dogs
you
when they
don't
have
like
the
let it
zoomies,
go.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't have a dog, but
I
you know what
get
the
this.
zoomies are. You
I
get
don't. Yeah,
Instagram.
I also get the zoomies. So I mean, mine are more in my like a hamster in my brain as opposed to like running
Oh,
around
got
the
it.
same circle. But yeah,
Yeah,
physically,
well,
I
and
get mental zoomies. So sigh away. It's good for your
yeah, I feel
vagus
like I
nerve.
could. All right, so today is not about mental health or science, although every day is about mental health. But instead, we have a very special guest, right, Caitlin?
Yes, the most specialist of guests.
So
He's
producer
here
Zach.
almost every time.
Yeah,
Yes.
you just don't hear him always unless he's yelling at us about something or correcting us. Um,
Like, actually, that's not true.
Sometimes he jumps in.
Challenge me on the vagus nerve, Zach. I dare you. You can't. Yes, Zach has some good stuff on content themes this week, and I am quite looking forward to it. We've worked really hard to develop this for a lot of our clients and have already seen some good dividends from it. So I'm excited to dive into this a little bit more, also for my own knowledge and understanding.
Yep. And something you won't find in custom themes or content themes. Wow, I am just like, you'd think I had a rusty nail already. I was just going to say you won't find any rusty nails in content themes, but that's our drink for today, which is an
Yes.
exciting one that I think neither you nor I enjoy or will enjoy.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
so I'll
You
give
tried
you.
it though, didn't you?
I did try it. I don't know if I tried it on audio or after, but Zach will figure
Did
that out
Brian
when he
try
pops it
it?
in. Brian
Or
did
who
try
did,
it.
like,
Yeah,
okay.
tasting notes courtesy of my live-in bartender slash husband Brian versus yours. Um,
Yes. Coincidentally, though, I think that they're both like this is up both of their
oh,
alleys.
100%,
Like,
100%.
yeah,
The
both of us
biggest
are like,
complaint
ooh.
the biggest complaint that I got was I rounded up on these. And that was a
Which
mistake
is
because it
not a
made a
shock.
whole lot of drink. Like this is not one where you double or triple the alcohol, because it's all alcohol. So
I was like, it's
um,
all booze.
it's all
One
scotch
and a half
technically.
ounces of scotch and a 3/4 of an ounce of Drambuie, which is a whiskey liqueur.
It's a
That I
scotch with
just
honey notes in it as well. So spices, herbs, and heather
all
honey.
scotch is
So
whiskey.
I know,
It's
I know,
a
but
whiskey liqueur.
same thing. But so this was invented in the 30s, we think. No one knows for sure. It's not like that recipe sitting out there with the copyright on it. But it really came up in the 60s and 70s because of Mr. Frank Sinatra. It was a drink that was
Really?
a favorite. Yeah, they made it a sophisticated drink because, if you wanted to be cool, you were like Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. It was fun. Not to be confused with the Brat Pack, which is a whole nother decade and other story.
Yeah.
Um, But it fell out of fashion, much like Frank. Well, Frank Sinatra's really never out of fashion. I still listen to that today. Um,
Yeah.
but it became an obscure choice, and most people don't have it. And a lot of people don't even have Drambuie. And to be fair, we had to go buy Drambuie. So we now have Office Drambuie should somebody need it. Or if you need it at your house. I don't know if I brought it in yet or not. So I doubled this one. So I did it 3 ounces of scotch and
Oh my God.
an ounce and a half of Drambuie. And that's a mistake, just so you know, unless you're making like 3 drinks. And Brian even
Or are you
noted
making
that like...
paint thinner?
Yeah, Brian noted, because this is like Scotch on the rocks, right? Because it's basically that.
Yeah.
So he noted like an ounce of scotch and a half ounce of Drambuie would be wonderful. And then we did do a little lemon peel. So I think Zach has the tasting notes on that. So I'll pause for a moment so we can insert these, and then I'll explain kind of what this all is. Now this is a stirred cocktail because Zach is all into the stirring of cocktails. So you stir it, and then we'll stir it more. I'm used to shaking. Is it stirred?
It's stirred, Andrew.
Okay, that's a funny thing that Brian's family says about one of their relatives. Does this work like this?
No.
Like this?
No.
Like this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now you strain it over one ginormous ice ball. Ooh, that's a lot. Oh no, it's not. Never mind. It's fine. Is it empty? Yeah, must be. Okay. And then we're going to garnish it with a little lemon peel. It should look just like the picture. And there is your rusty nail. So let me see how Brian likes it.
Ooh, that's really good.
Okay. Additional tasting notes besides that's really good?
Honey and a little bit cough syrupy,
But in a good way?
but in a good way. It tames down the scotch a lot.
Okay, because Drambuie is technically scotch, right? It's scotch with
with honey.
heather, honey, herbs, and spices. Or excuse me, because it's from the Isle of Skye in Scotland, it would be herbs and spices.
It's a little bit floral, a little bit heathery.
Okay.
Like think green, like an Earl Grey tea, that sort of.
Okay, so a scotch and honey and Earl Grey tea kind of a thing going on. Sounds good. All right, so that was really fun. With the it tastes like cough syrup, but in a good way, was the one note that came out of that really heavily. And I will agree, cough syrup, not in a good way. Just not my drink. I don't do scotch, but you basically put both of these in a mixing glass with ice, and you stir it until well chilled. You'll also note I got scolded for not stirring enough, and I had to go continue stirring. That was probably the most tense moment with the drink. And then I also started to strain it incorrectly, which is why I'm not our in-house bartender. But you strain it into a glass over a large ice cube.
The stirring may also help with the dilution to make it more palatable. So
that's what I was told. Since it goes in over one large ice cube, that stirring is designed to melt some of the ice and chunk little pieces off so that you get a little bit of water in there. But yeah, I mean, he liked it and he said he would have it, just not, 5 ounces of it in one night.
Yeah, this could be like the remnant of a chest cold for me, but I wonder about putting Drambuie in like a hot toddy with the honey
100%.
And the spices. Yeah, I could be into that.
But for me, there's that honey liqueur that's out there. It's got some German name. It's like in a beehive bottle or whatever.
Yeah,
because we used it.
Baron.
Yeah, you're close. Something like that.
Baron Jaeger.
Yes, I think that's right. Something like that. But we did that in a summer cocktail.
It's good.
It was really good. Yeah. So I would rather put that in my like coffee or hot chocolate or something than this. So great drink. Classic drink. It's a classy drink. I don't think anyone will ever like fault you for ordering this, aside from they need to have Drambuie, which is not common at most bars. I think if you go to a Scotch bar, though, like a place that does a lot of Scotch, they're going to have Drambuie. So that's where you go do this. If you see 50 bottles of Scotch on the wall, they're going to have Drambuie or Scotch whiskey, bourbon, all of those
Take
things.
one down and pass them around.
Pass it around. 99 bottles of scotch on the wall. Okay.
Well, and if you needed to, you could just put a rusty nail through all your bottles to hold them up to the wall. Shall we get into some content themes?
Yeah. Seems like a good time
in
to
theory,
take a break.
not in practice.
All right. We'll see Zach in a minute.
All right, we're back with Zach.
Oh, it rhymes.
Hello.
Yeah, and hey, Zach, thank you for tolerating us as we talked about a cocktail neither one of us liked, but that our respective husbands enjoy. What's your opinion on the Rusty Nail? Have you had one or tried one?
I really like whiskey and bourbon and scotch, so I'm sure I'd love it. When you sent the recipe to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to try this. And now that the office has Drambuie, next time I visit, I'm going to have to try it out. So...
Yeah.
It'll still be here, I think. It's a big bottle, too. That's the other thing. You can't get Drambuie in, like, a small bottle. It's like 750 milliliters. It's ginormous. All right, but...
For serious liqueur drinkers only.
Yes, and whiskey and scotch are not one of our main content themes, so let's kind of get into that in our new world of sticking on topic, and we'll have some tangents. So first, Zach, what is a content theme? Like, talk to us about this idea.
Yeah, so content themes are basically the central topics or idea which all the content you create is based around. A lot of marketing, a lot of businesses use them for their content marketing efforts. And basically think of them as high level topic buckets you can consistently pull good content from. And the reason that you're able to create good content from them is because, one, you have to conduct keyword research in order to create good content themes, and you also have to know your target audience pretty well, which I'll definitely get more into. But
can you, for those of us that are of the idea that not everything is content, like that, you know, it's like the old like influencer ploy of like, oh, this is content, can you give me some examples of what you might call content? Is it social media posts only? Is it blogs? Is it website pages? Like, talk to me about what goes in those buckets before we dive into the themes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It kind of depends on your business, for sure, and what works well for your business and what your target audience responds to. But I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head with some of the stuff you said. Blogs.
The rusty nail.
Yeah. You hit the rusty nail on the head. But yeah, so blogs, it can be offers if you're B2B. It could be things like videos. It could be the podcast. I'm sure actually this podcast episode was generated from or pulled from one of our content themes. So
we're in the matrix right now.
So wait, content themes are one of our content themes?
Content, like anything to do with content marketing. Content as a service. A good way of thinking of content themes is aligning them with some of your services. It can be an easy one because you want to create content that's relevant to what you're doing, but you also want to think a little more broader than that too. Like what's happening in your industry, what's happening, things like that. Like basically, it's designed to ensure that you're creating consistent and relevant content that's backed up by good keyword research and that your target audience will love.
So it's designed to prevent you from going off on tangents.
Yeah, you don't want to go off on tangents.
I hate it already.
But no, it makes sense to me. So you're basically just having these buckets where you have stuff mapped out so you know what's going on and what it's about.
It's almost like brand guidelines for your content is kind of how I think about it too. Like you want to keep your brand consistent. And I think that almost works hand in hand with that, but you want to keep your brand consistent and you want to keep your content consistent. You don't want to have to be worrying every month about what you're going to create. And this kind of gives you almost like a roadmap for your content creation efforts.
So how far?
Great plan to follow.
Sorry.
But yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. You said you don't have to worry every month. I know, it's all right. How far out do you plan content? Like, is it an annual thing, monthly, quarterly? Like, what do you do?
Ideally, with these content themes, something that you can do with them is you can map them out for the whole year if you do it far enough in advance. So if you start planning your content, once you establish your content themes, it'll allow you to start planning out content way in advance to what you would normally do, because it cuts out the topic ideation part. Along with
you do that all in bulk.
Yeah, you can do it all in bulk. So it just gives you that freedom to kind of work ahead, if that makes sense, because you're not worrying about what you're going to create every month. Before, we would like kind of do it on like a month by month basis, where it would align with our social media and what we were doing there. But now, these content themes have allowed us to kind of have a greater like it allows us to look ahead and plan things out like towards the business's goals. So,
well, I was going to say, it's almost like you're taking your business plan and updating that across, even if it wasn't the full year, you could say like this 6 months, we're going to focus on products A, B, and C. And here's how we're going to do that across all of our marketing efforts, which is such a great guidepost, especially for small business. I think it's really easy to get stuck in the weeds when you don't have that like guiding light or kind of North Star for like social media, especially. It's like, you just, I don't know, this feels right and we'll throw this up today. And we have this sale going on, so we'll throw that up today, instead of aligning kind of that your whole business across that plan.
Yeah, it definitely helps you clearly define things. And something that I kind of want to mention is themes are just kind of the start of things. So themes are more of the broader, like more generalized topics that you have, but you want to break those down into subtopics. So for example, one of our content themes is anything to do with our website service and websites in general. And one of the subtopics would be website redesign, website development, website optimization. And from those topics, you can start doing keyword research so that you know what people are searching for based off of, one, your themes and also like your topics. So, and as long as those themes relate back to what you're doing as a business and what your target audience, the kind of content your target audience is looking for, there's no reason that the content you create won't be high quality. And it also allows you to see kind of the more like themes you have and more topics you have, it allows you to kind of refine down based off of how your target audience responds to each different type of content. So maybe website optimization is one of our topics, but we're seeing more through the website redesign like focused content. So we could focus on that. It gives you more freedom to kind of sit back and see what's working, what's not, and refine things. So it has a lot of potential to really help like your business and things like that.
So if I were a small business and I wanted to get started with content themes just for me, do I need like 10 of them? Do I need 2? Like, how do I get started with this? Just getting like something rolling if I'm sitting here staring at a blank screen.
Well, for me, I would first audit your existing content to see what's working well. Whittle down like what like is already performing well for you. If there's anything like you can like focus on like from there. Also, you need to fully understand your target audience and your target personas. If you don't really understand your target audience or your personas, then you might miss the mark on what content really is going to work for your business. So I would say like putting a lot of effort into the research phase of things is really going to help you in the long run. I would also analyze honestly your competitors and what they're doing, because if they're close enough to what you're doing, things that are working for them might work for you in another way. And another thing you really, really want to do, I was going to say obviously, but maybe it's not obvious, brainstorming with your team and getting them involved, because they're the ones doing, working with your clients, especially if it's B2B, and getting to know like what they respond well to and what they might like. So pulling all of that together is kind of where I would start.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. When you were starting to do our content theme, Zach, like you didn't just pull stuff out of thin air, right? It was mostly stuff that we already knew and sort of would have guessed at or done eventually on a month-to-month or week-to-week basis. But you pulled it all together in one like exercise and started to organize it. Isn't that kind of what
Yeah.
most of this is? It's not brand new stuff, like to Caitlin's point. You use language, you use stories, you do all these things. Even our podcast, like helping to figure out what our topics should be if we fit them into these theme buckets makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it helps clearly define things so you're not kind of just guessing, you know? And something that you're able to do with it. So I see content themes working two ways for people. One, obviously, like I've been saying, you can use them as topic buckets to kind of just guide your overall content strategy. But if you start mapping those out to the buyer's journey and really thinking about the type of content you can create and what stage that content is in the buyer's journey, you can actually start making it more inclusive of your entire marketing strategy. Because then if it's mapped correctly to the buyer's journey, that pulls in the digital marketing side of things with like Google ads, promotion, like basically like paid promotional like things, stuff like that. And mapping it out gives you, it basically opens you up to being able to create content that actually has a purpose towards driving like success in your business, rather than just creating content because it's a good thing to do and people respond well to it. It's bridging that gap.
We've talked about this with one of our clients where we've focused almost all of their lead gen efforts right now on their bottom of the funnel. And now we're trying to pivot because they have a good amount of existing customers that have just kind of fallen off, where if we can start to either remarket or redefine what happens at the top, middle, bottom of that funnel, because we know what's successful at the bottom, but how do we broaden that out to start either nurturing new leads or nurturing existing customers to say, like, here's how we're still providing value. And so we've started to discuss this kind of content theme piece, and I'm really excited to start fleshing that out because, like I said, we've seen what works at the bottom and we know we can be successful with this smaller subset of people, but how do we repeat that out? And theming out and understanding what resonates with that audience is going to be really, really valuable.
Oh yeah, and I think something like you said, how you were focused on the bottom of funnel stuff. That's something I noticed when I was thinking about this plan. Is that oftentimes we kind of get focused on one like phase of the journey on our strategies, and this kind of like expands it out and gives you a broader view of things. Because for one, you don't have to just create content that's all like high level offers or things like that. You can create blog posts, you can create social campaigns that support the like higher level, bigger pieces of content. And now like everything you're doing is like working towards your goals, rather than just, okay, we're going to pay for some search ads and we're going to have one piece of content and a landing page. And now like I think it'll really do like a lot for organic like content like strategies as well. So
yeah, I think one call out too, especially as we have been in the midst of like hiring and like talent acquisition, is like that's an entirely separate thing. So how do you pull in like for us, it's how do we pull in and highlight our non-traditional culture that can fit into that like acquisition theme, right? Because that's not really part of our business plan per se, but it is still necessary for our business. And so it's like theming out your services, but then also knowing like this is another engine that we're going to require to grow and work.
Yeah, and one of our themes is us. It's just Antidote 71.
Exactly.
So it has everything to do with what's happening with our team, what's happening with different things at the company. And not everything's going to work towards like the goals, but it's nice to have themes that cover like all areas of the kind of content you want to be posting or putting out there.
And I think I think that when you do that and you include your culture or your company or those kinds of stories as one of your themes, it does two things for me. So one is like, yes, for recruiting and hiring people, it lets them know a little bit more about who we are and are we your flavor of weird? Do you want to be here? But that same thing is valuable for prospective clients, right? We want clients that are a good fit. And if we're super casual and you're super suit and tie, we may not be a good fit. So that's one, but the other one is, and I've seen this at so many companies, especially when social media was kind of becoming big, HR wants to take over social media to be just about culture and hiring. That's it. No sales, just culture and hiring, culture and hiring. And this gives them a lane to play in for birthdays, anniversaries, culture, celebrations, but it doesn't consume and take over the whole plan. You've got, you've got more there than just like this one shot. Same thing. Sales wants to take over your social media or all of your organic content as like, it's all sales. It's like, no, this piece is sales about this piece is about this, but there's a whole bunch of supporting things. And giving everybody a lane to kind of swim in is, it's helpful, especially in big organizations.
Yeah, I can see the potential for content themes in almost any business is huge. They're nothing new, but working them and mapping them to your business in like a specific and tailored way, they can do like a whole lot.
So you touched on this a little bit, but I kind of want to put a finer point on the structure of this. So first of all, do I have to have more than one theme? Can I have one? Can I have two? Can I have 20? Like what's the sort of minimum and maximum to manage?
I would say like a minimum like 5 to 6. And then maximum, like you don't want to go over 10 probably, but it depends. It definitely depends on what you do. Because like if you're like, let's say like a car dealership and you sell like 3 different brands of cars or something like that. Like you obviously you wanted to create content based off of those 3 brands of cars, but you also like want to have some stuff for like we were talking about with our team, like our culture, things like that. So it really just depends on the business because you could have a ton of services and work like across you could have a ton of services that you need to create content for. And like I said, it really just depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, and you don't
to like revisit the car dealership analogy. So you've got your 3 brands, right? Like those could be themes, but then you could also have like minivans and sedans,
you could have types of cars too.
Yeah, so you have like, because that is going to pull in, potentially 2 out of your 3 brands. So you can start to kind of like intersperse, and things might work for 2 of those themes, but it helps you to kind of put a broader perspective on what people might be searching for.
I think obviously you don't want to have too many themes just because then like you might not get that consistency that you're going for. But at the same time, like you can always refine them down and based off of what's working and what's not working. So it's like I said, it's literally just a matter of figuring out like what works best for your business and doing like putting the research in, like auditing your existing content, focusing on what your target audience is, like what they're looking for. That's going to do more for you in the long run in terms of figuring out how many and exactly what your themes are. So
yeah, and I think tapping your website analytics, or if you've got an SEO person for keywords and how people are finding you already, can really give you some good ideas for themes and subtopics and all of that. And you want those to align, right? Like you want to be putting things out there that match what people want from you and what people are getting from you. It's an interesting prospect. And I think one other thing that you had noted was, and we didn't really put a huge point on this, but top, middle, and bottom of funnel. So basically have themes all along the buyer's journey, right? You want to not focus on just one. And even one theme might be more heavily focused toward top of funnel or bottom of funnel, and that's okay. You just want to make sure you've got stuff in all of them. And I think in ours, we can find pretty much everything for all stages of the buyer's journey across each of the themes. It's not like this theme is only for, introducing us, and this theme is only for closing the sale. It's like there's plenty in each of those themes to help people along that journey. and ideally bring them in, to be a customer or a client.
Yeah, and the more you build off of those, the more like supporting content you'll put out, and it'll all push down to the bottom of the funnel. So yeah.
Eventually, yeah, it does trickle down.
All themes lead to a closed sale.
Well, that might be overpromise, but
no, all right.
I mean,
it can
people
definitely
do fall
help
out the
work
middle
towards
of the
it.
funnel. It's better than none.
Yeah. Awesome. This was really helpful just to think about the different kind of ways that these can cross over, and also how the crossover can be helpful to multiple pieces. Like when we're talking about culture in terms of hiring, but also in terms of client acquisition, like how those things can serve multiple pieces, but all
and people
kind of to the same end.
People are complex, right? Your audience isn't going to just follow all the way down one theme. They might slip over to another one or see something there, and those can all support your overall business, your overall like who you are and what you do. It's really great. Are you going to do a blog post or something on this one down the road, Zach, so we can see
Definitely. There'll be some more content about content themes.
Perfect. I wanted to make sure that was in that vertical, because a lot of what we're talking about like can be visualized, but obviously this is an audio medium, non-visual, so it's hard to describe. But there are ways to organize things.
Can't stop me from talking with my hands, even if
no,
you
that's true. I was
wanted
like,
to.
Caitlin's talking with her hands and showing you how to do this, but it's you can't see it. Sorry.
Expect an
Which is
infographic.
a real tragedy.
And probably maybe even a video. So.
But it's just me doing like the car dealer guy, right? The like blow up guy that they have outside of car dealers.
I don't think that's going to be. I don't think
just...
that's on the content plan. I think that maybe Zach helping us walk through a video or doing an explainer might be on the content plan.
Definitely.
Let it be known that I would prostrate myself on that altar. I would offer up my abnormally long arms for the sake of our content plan.
I'll keep it in mind.
Make a fool of myself for you.
And with that, it sounds like a good time to start wrapping this up. So I know Zach is on with us, but looking at the time, he would be telling us, wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. So thank you, Zach, for coming here with our Rusty Nail cocktail that you would enjoy, and for walking us through some information about content themes. So just to recap, content themes are just central topics or ideas, kind of high level. You've got to have subtopics and topics under those that eventually you produce content around. So it's really like pre-planning your content engine and getting that thing revved and ready to go. Keywords are important. Your audience is important. Doing that research at the beginning is important. And then also, two other points, just checking on your existing content. You've probably got stuff that will fit as you're organizing this. And then don't be afraid to hit all the stages of the buyer's journey and customize for whatever your business is. Or give us a call and we'll put Zach on it and he'll help you with your content themes. We can do that as well.
You can find us at Antidote 71, antidote71.com. If you have a question or you would like to learn more about our content themes or services, you can either go to ctapodcast.live to send us a message or leave us a voice message on our podcast hotline at 402-718-9971. Your question might make it onto the air. Or if you're interested in having Zach and Rich and I do a little content theme planning for us, you can shoot us a message there, or like I said, visit us at antidote71.com. We would love to hear from you.
And as always, thank you so much for listening. We know there's not a ton of you yet, but it's growing, and that's one of Zach's goals this year. So we're really trying to organize our themes around useful things. And speaking of useful things, this is a crazy cocktail for our next episode in 2 weeks. It is called the Death Flip. So it does have flip in there, and as Caitlin taught me, that means there's going to be egg involved, egg whites specifically.
A full egg.
Oh, a full egg. Never mind.
No.
A full egg.
A flip is a full egg. Yes.
Okay. All right. So that will be next time. And in the Death Flip, I believe Jamie is going to join us and talk to us about SEO best practices for website redesign. So, Zach, I sense the crossover of two content themes there: SEO best practices and website redesigns.
That's the beautiful thing about them.
Woo!
Fantastic. So, thank you again.
Car dealership dance, y'all.
Subscribe wherever you do that, and we will see you in a couple weeks.